All right, hey everybody, welcome to the Education of a Weaponized Man podcast. I'm joined again tonight with Dustin Doherty, Brad Vanderleit. We got a really cool show for you everybody tonight, so we're going to dive right into this. I'm going to start by asking a question, and then we're going to cut to the intro, and we'll come back and we're going to unpack the answer to this question. So here's the question. What is a warrior's greatest tool? Back in 60 seconds to answer it.
Many people understand that they can at any time become the target of a violent criminal assault. These same people know that they have a life, family, and property worth defending. Criminals understand that violence is its own language. Violence is not the sport of competition. Violence is not the art of fighting. Violence is about one thing: destruction. There are those who believe that violence, even in self-defense, is morally wrong. Then there are good people like you who know that defending yourself, family, and others, as well as your property, is not only a personal right, but a duty within a civilized society. Understand, violent assaults are won before they occur. People who learn strategy survive. People who do not will not. For those brave people who believe life is precious and worth defending.
Welcome to the Education of a Weaponized Man podcast. All right, everybody, we are back. And again, welcome to the Education of a Weaponized Man podcast. Now, I had asked a question before we cut to the intro, and I should actually have rephrased my question, so I'm going to alter it a little bit now. I asked, what is a warrior's greatest tool? What I really should have asked is, what is a warrior's greatest weapon? Okay, not that big of a difference, but significant enough. Okay, so what is a warrior's greatest weapon? Now, before I even ask Dustin or Brad to throw their opinions in, I'm actually going to finish this because really it's not so much of a question as it is a quote. And this is a quote that almost everybody has heard, and this is what I want to start to unpack. So the quote actually goes with this: a warrior's greatest weapon is his mind. Right? So now you can think about it. What's a warrior's greatest weapon? And think about, some people would have answered, some people would have said it's the mind, it's the tactics, it's strategies, it's technique, it's the size, strength, whatever it is. The quote is that a warrior's greatest weapon is his mind. Now, what I want to do is I want to change the dynamic of this conversation. I want to change the perspective, which is, really at the core what we want to do every single week. So that statement, most people have heard it, and most people, do you guys agree, would believe that that is a true statement?
Yeah, I think people say it's true for sure.
100%, right? And we'd get a lot of people like, someone says it, right? What's the greatest weapon? Oh, it's your mind. I've heard that phrase so many different ways, but almost everybody automatically agrees with it. But here's the thing, stop for a second and let's flip the perspective and understand most people never stop to recognize that criminals believe that statement as well. They never flip it to look at the perspective from the criminal. A warrior's greatest weapon is his mind. A criminal's greatest weapon, a criminal's greatest tool, which is what I wanted to say it that way when we applied the criminal to it. A criminal's greatest weapon, a criminal's greatest tool is his mind. True or false?
Yeah, that's 100% true, because that's what at the end of the day, that's what you're up against.
Yes. You see, again, this is going to be quick and you already kind of answered it. But how does that change? How does that change the dynamic? This is why I found this to be so interesting, right? Because again, so many people that I talk to, it's like we talk about weaponizing, which is a mental and physical process for mastering the tool of violence. And you talk to people about that and people are like, yeah, 100%. 100% get that. And it's like, really? You 100% get that? 100%. So what I'm getting is that you're agreeing with what I'm saying. You understand that there needs to be a process, violence is a tool, all this type of stuff. You're in agreement with that, but do you really understand that? And it's the same thing. Warrior's greatest weapon is his mind. And everybody's like, yep, 100%. What the fuck do you do to train your mind? You say that as if you've been spending the last 20 years of your life weaponizing your mind specific to violence. When really, what have they done? Nothing. I guess the thing is this, what is a warrior's greatest weapon? What does it take for something to become a weapon? Now you can use a tool. You could pick up a rock and smash a guy in the head, and they say, well, that was used as a weapon, and that you crushed his skull and you killed him. Okay. What does it take for something like, what does it take for a scalpel to become a tool, a real tool? And what I'm getting at is it has to be in the hands of a surgeon. You get me? Like a scalpel will still cut. A scalpel will cut, all that stuff. But in the hands of a surgeon, it becomes what it was meant to be. You get what I mean? It becomes a real tool. So if we're saying, what is a warrior's greatest weapon? Warrior and weapon implies some form, some process of training, of development. A surgeon using a scalpel. That's a tool of the surgeon. Go ahead.
Would you say that like the surgeon using the scalpel, like in the hands of the surgeon, that tool reaches its full potential?
Yes. Yeah, listen, I use a computer every single day. I do some video editing. I do lots of stuff on my computer, but I in no way, shape, or form even come close to turning my computer into a weapon. And I mean that I'm not using it to even a tenth of its full potential. Because I simply, I don't really have the need for that. But you know what I mean? Like most people in most things we do in life, we're not maximizing the potential of things. But I love the quote that everybody right away is like, yes, put that on a fucking shirt and I'm going to wear that shirt. A warrior's greatest weapon is his mind. It somehow implies some level of training, some level of exploration and proficiency and knowledge and experience and capability and functionalism and all this type of stuff. But yet it's hollow. It's hollow to a large degree. And that's kind of what I want to unpack for people. So this first little, just throwing that out there, I just wanted to try to change people's perception because Dustin already kind of said this, but this is ultimately what you are up against. Okay, so understand something, right? Criminals, they think the same fucking way. A violent predatory criminal does not attack his victim like a professional fighter in a ring or like a martial artist practicing in his dojo. They fucking hunt and stalk their prey, right? Like their next intended kill. They hunt and stalk their prey. That right there, combined with that quote, should change the game for people, period. A criminal's greatest weapon, their greatest tool, it's not a butcher knife, it's not a machete, it's not a baseball bat, it's not a fucking gun, it's not a shotgun, it's not a long rifle, it's not a tactical rifle, it's none of that shit. A criminal's greatest weapon and their greatest tool is their fucking mind and its capacity to think evil. We've said this quote before, right? I talk about this at great length in my workshop. It's their capacity for evil, and I'm going to repeat myself. Violent criminals do not attack their victims. Notice I didn't say intended victims. I said they do not attack their victims, meaning what? Do you see the absolute certainty when you say it that way? I made a statement. Violent criminals do not attack their victims. A lion doesn't attack an intended meal. It attacks its prey. Right? A lion goes after what it wants to fucking eat. Not, well, I intend to hopefully, possibly, potentially eat this thing. I'm not sure though. Right? It's like, I'm not sure if I want to commit to this or not. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll go vegan. I don't know. There's lots of things out there. I don't know. I might contemplating a lifestyle change. We're talking about violent criminals attack their intended victims. They don't do it like a professional fighter does in the ring. And they do not do it like a martial artist who's practicing in their dojo. That's not how they do it. They hunt and stalk their fucking victims. Like they're hunting and stalking their next fucking meal. And I know I've said it, but again, that's their greatest weapon. The ability to think evil, that's what we're up against. Okay, and any feelings off that? Anything you guys want to add to that?
Yeah, just kind of repeating an analogy you just sort of made, but the thing that hit me even like before you said it was, if you think about a violent criminal looking to assault somebody, it's going to look a lot more like a lion hunting a gazelle versus two boxers in a boxing ring, two mixed martial artists in an octagon. It's going to resemble the hunt. And like you said, it's the hunting and the stalking, which ultimately I think leads up to an ambush. And not always by the definition of ambush like, oh, it's always from behind,
Yeah.
but there's always an element of unexpectedness to it.
Yes.
They might come right to your face. It's still an ambush because you came out of your house, your car, a store,
Yep.
whatever it is. You did not expect to be in it in that moment. Therefore, it is an ambush on a certain level, right? So
100%. They're controlling the time. They control the location. They control the intensity. They control what they bring to it in terms of weapons. They control the numbers. I mean, a violent criminal who's looking, hunting, and stalking for a victim and sees a group of 3 can make a phone call, wait a little bit, hunt and stalk some more, and wait till 10 show up. You know what I mean? Like, they are in control. They have the initiative of so many different things. And you think about it, why would a criminal wait? Why would he wait? Why would he hunt and stalk more? Because he's thinking fucking evil. So the greatest weapon that these bad guys have is their mind. Yet here we are on the opposite side. Well, the greatest weapon that warriors have, protectors have, people that are willing to defend is our mind. But you're not thinking evil. You don't have the doom on you mindset. You have a very different mindset, which is going to lead me to this next question, okay? I'm sorry, I wrote my notes on a different page and I just moved my page. That's why I couldn't find my notes. Okay. Very simple question. Why is cheating bad? Just visually, in our society, why is, I mean, I didn't even ask, is cheating bad? We already fucking know how society feels about people that cheat and cheating. Why is cheating bad?
Because we've been told time and time again that it's bad.
Okay? Think of it, it's 100% correct. Now think of it in an actual context of an exam. Okay, in school, I don't care what the exam's for, you're taking an exam. Why is cheating bad? Fuck it, think of it in terms of professional sports. Why is it bad if one team, the Oilers are going to play tonight, right? What if the Oilers cheated to win? Why is it bad?
considered unfair.
Why is it considered unfair?
Because they go outside of the scope or the boundaries of the rules and the so-called rules of engagement in that sport, whatever you want to call it.
Okay, 100% correct.
You're trying to decide, who's better than who, or how does one person compare to another person? Like, you're trying to gauge people's skills, abilities. And so as soon as someone's doing it, in a way outside of the, like Brad said, the agreed upon kind of rules, it's like, well, that's considered unfair. That person now has an advantage that the other people didn't have, and therefore now that testing ground is tainted.
Okay.
So it's not a true result, I guess.
100%. So Dustin, you've said fairness. Brad, you said it's outside of the rules of that parameter, the competition. And look at what Mac shows up. It's the absence of fairness. There's that word again, because it's all about a hierarchy of skill competition. Just listen. Why is cheating bad? The second somebody gets a context, right? Because that's what everyone's going to do. Why is cheating bad? Or that guy cheated. Everyone's going to apply a context to the situation we're talking about. Whatever it is, you're gonna have a thought come to mind. Most people say that person's a cheater. They think school. They think some sort of an exam or something like that, right? So fairness. It's not fair. It's not fair. But why? Here's the thing that nobody has said yet. Like, you've alluded to it, but nobody said it. Cheating is bad because, yes, it's unfair. But it's unfair because the person that cheats has an advantage. Nobody said, you know why? Because the person that cheats, they fucking win. People that cheat tend to win. If that was a false statement, nobody would fucking cheat.
It's true.
It's fucking totally true. But we don't think of it this way because cheaters never win and winners never cheat. Like, we got this fucking sayings and paradigms that we've been brought up with, right? And in a lot of instances, it's very true. It's a very true statement. But I'm going to ask you guys a series of questions, just a couple quick questions, right? All right. Would you cheat a friend in a business deal? Just yes or no?
No.
No. Okay, you wouldn't cheat a friend. Would you cheat on your wife or your spouse?
I'm concerned that Brad didn't answer.
Yeah, Brad. Brad, like, I mumbled no. I wasn't committed to it. It depends on the friend. How much money do I stand to make? Yeah. So would you cheat a friend in a business deal? No. Would you cheat on your spouse, your wife or your spouse?
No.
No. Okay. Would you cheat on a test? We already kind of gave us go. Would you cheat in a sporting competition?
No.
Okay. Would you cheat death?
Cheat
Yeah.
death, meaning like to live longer, you mean?
Typically, that's what it means. Would you cheat death?
Yeah.
If you can.
Yes. See,
Yeah,
would you
sure.
cheating death? The guy cheated death means what? You get in a car accident and you live. The top of the car's gone, the car's crushed up, and people are like, what the fuck happened? You cheated death. You get the idea of the saying. What I'm showing is this. Would you cheat on your spouse? No. Would you cheat in a test? No. Would you cheat in a business deal? No. Would you cheat in a sporting event? No. Would you cheat death? Yes. 100% I'll fucking cheat death as long as I possibly can. Now, you could sit there and say, oh, well, what, you just got lucky. You didn't actually do something. If you're fucking taking care of your body, you're eating healthy, you going and get medications from the doctor because you got an illness, you're trying to cheat death. If death is like, fuck it, give this guy a disease. Give this guy a fucking disease. That's what nature wanted. Maybe it's because you eat all this shit, there's pollution in our society, it's in the water we drink, but all of a sudden I got some sort of fucking disease. Well, I got the disease. If left untreated, if no medical intervention, then I'm going to die. Well, if that's the will of nature, God, the universe, whatever it is, well, then is that the will? But I go get medical treatment, medical help. Am I trying to cheat death? Okay, sure, fine. Let's just move on from this, right? What I want people to understand is it's purely perspective. That's what this is. Is cheating bad? Yes, our society tells us cheating is bad because I gave you 3 or 4 different examples where you're like, no, I wouldn't cheat. Now, not everybody's like that. Would you cheat on your spouse? Some people say yes. Some people say, no, I never would, and they fucking do. Because what comes out of their mouth, the words they say, don't match the actions by which they live. Okay, but most people be like, would you cheat on your spouse? No. Cheat in a business deal? No. Cheat in a sporting event? No, I wouldn't do this. Would you cheat death? Yes, I would. There's times, obviously, in our perception where we can go, fuck yeah, I would cheat. So if I'm going to do whatever I can do to stay alive, to stay healthy, to stay with my family, to be on this planet, to be a father of my kids, would I cheat when it comes to violence? Fuck yes. You see, you got to understand something. See, violent criminals, their greatest weapon is their mind, and they use it to think evil. Why do you think they picked up the knife? Why do you think they move and operate in multiple opponents? Why do you think someone breaks into your house or cuts off your catalytic converter at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning? Now, cutting and stealing a catalytic converter or breaking in your house and stealing your computer or something like that or some jewelry, that's a different level than somebody who's trying to murder or sexually assault somebody. But the point is, even someone going, fuck, I just want to steal some shit so I can sell it and get some money for drugs, whatever the fuck it is, they are still thinking evil. When should I go into the home? They think so fucking evil that they'll spend, a matter of fact, ask somebody that works within corrections, and they'll tell you about how long these motherfuckers sit in their cell day in and day out plotting schemes. Phoning people, running schemes, trying to get information, identity theft. These fuckers are thinking evil. They're smart. You know what I mean? You people do not understand the level that the criminal element is on the fucking express elevator of that quote. But it's so easy for good people to go, a warrior's greatest weapon is his mind. What are you doing every single day to get on the express elevator and create the strategies, the mindset, the tactics, the tools, the beliefs to say doom on fucking you when you bring your evil thinking shit my way or my family's way? That's the contrast here. So we can't just sit here and be lip service and say that a warrior's greatest tool is his mind. That's it. You just got to be able to be ruthless, and you got to be willing to do what it takes. If you can do that and be willing to do anything to survive, no rules. Holy fuck. Like, alls it is lip service. For 99% of it, it's lip service. And then that's further compounded because the world that we live in, again, is so focused on, not only do they believe cheating is bad, but they go one step further to believe that to be a man, a worthy man, a man of honor and integrity, you must fight with honor and integrity. You must stand for honor and integrity. Most of these people have never been on a battlefield. They've never even studied what war really is. They've never been the victim of a violent assault. And I say this because I want there to be crystal clarity. Because for many years after my assault, I used that term. Oh, I was assaulted. I said, I've been the victim of a violent assault. I was attacked. I've used those words. But what's so interesting is when I actually stopped and sat back and really reflected on what I experienced and what I went through, something changed for me. And I started describing to myself the night that a random group of guys attempted to murder me. This changes something in you. Because, I mean, if you know me, you guys have known me for over 20 years each. If you understand, like, this is not just a hobby. This is not a business. This is a fucking passion. Because there is something that happens. Like, I believe that when a group of people or someone tries to murder you, it changes you. And it changes you in a couple specific ways. One, it changes you because at first what happens is that you tend to question yourself as a man, right? You walk around carrying this really deeply rooted fear that the entire world will see that coward inside of you. And so you hide that behind a mask of denial and anger and a whole bunch of other fucking shit. And you avoid the truth. And the truth was that you were unaware and unprepared for violence. Right? And then the second thing that happens is either you come to a place where you fucking recognize that if you stay in this denial, it will fucking ultimately destroy your life. Because that anger, that denial, that constantly hiding behind this mask of this fear that throttles every decision you're making in your life is toxic. So you either come to a place where you stay stuck in the pain pit, or you confront the realities, you confront that truth. And one of the things that happens when you first confront that truth, and this is what happened to me, was that you have to come to accept that you cannot unexperience what you have experienced. You cannot unsee what you have seen, and you cannot now unknow what you know. And this for me was really, really fucking big. Because here's how I feel about this, right? I feel as though, like, you can't lie to me. You cannot, no matter how much you talk, no matter how compelling you think your argument is, you cannot convince me, you cannot delude me into believing that violence is like fighting. I see people like, you know how many people I've met over the years where they're doing a martial art and they have just a mild exposure to something. They get a job working security at a nightclub. They're out and something happens, small stuff. But in their brains, they go, what I'm seeing and what I'm practicing and training and doing, this shit won't work. They see it. This won't work. This is different than what I'm seeing. Well, when somebody attempts to murder you, you figure it out. You can't unsee it. You can't unexperience it. You can go into denial and hide from it, but you can't unsee, unexperience, or unknow what you now know. And so for me, I got lucky because I was in that pain pit and it was destroying my life. And I came to the point where I recognized I can't do it anymore. I have to confront it. And it's one of the most terrifying moments that I can think back that I've ever had in my life, because you don't know the solution. But you have to surrender to the fear. But the second that happened, all of a sudden it's like, I see it for what it is. And the second you do that, and now I'm going to circle right back, I figured it out, right? It took a lot more than, it took many years. But a violent criminal's greatest weapon, their greatest tool is their mind. And I figured it out, right? And you guys know this. A weaponized human being, someone willing to protect, a protector as we call them, ready, real, resilient, relentless, and ruthless, a warrior, whatever term you want to put to it. A good person's greatest weapon is their mind, but they have to see it for what it is. You have to get real with what violence actually is, right? I learned it's a tool. It is a tool that is about fucking destruction. And that tool and how it's used works for good and bad people. That's a real hard concept for people for them to choke down. Violence is about destruction, and whether it's a good person or a bad person, it works the same way. Right there, the fact that I'm saying that if you're a good person and a violent predatory criminal or criminals target you and your family, you better be ready to fucking destroy. You better be ready to injure and destroy, because the violent criminal is. They think evil, and we have to think doom on you. Doom on you and your plans of evil. And that becomes now all of a sudden, but then again, now we're at that point. You have to train your mind. Saying it isn't doing it. Okay, throw some feedback on just anything I said that resonated with you guys.
Well, I had this one analogy that just kind of came up in my mind like 20 minutes ago as you were talking about this. I just keep coming back to it. No, but as you're talking, like every time you keep going deeper, I'm just like, yeah, like this analogy just makes sense to me, so I'll share it in case other people do. But it's like when you just say like, well, of course your mind is your greatest weapon. Of course. And like you're saying, so many people are willing to say it, but do they really even know what it means? Do they really put that into practice? And like, so the analogy that hit me is like, if I just said to you guys, like, what's the quickest way to get from your house to the grocery store? It's your car. Most people are like, yeah, of course it's your car. Makes sense. Faster than a bike, faster than walking, faster than running. It's your car. It's like, yeah, and that's the end of it. It's like, yeah, but do you have air in the tires? Do you have gas in the tank? Do you have car keys? Do you have a driver's license? Do you have insurance? Do you have any idea how to start the car? Do you know what the difference between a gas pedal and a brake pedal? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, if you don't unpack all of that shit, then saying it doesn't mean shit. And I think it's the same thing as saying, yeah, of course it's your mind. For sure, yeah. That absolutely is your mind.
Yep.
And that's all.
It's a beautiful right? analogy. It's a perfect fucking analogy, because nobody talks like that. We don't talk the details. We just talk. It's quotes are so awesome because you can just say it, throw it on a shirt, put it on a coffee cup, walk around with it, and everybody, and you posture. Look. This is what I want the world to perceive me as. And I know this because when I was trapped, I talked about being trapped in that pain pit. I talked about wearing the mask of denial and anger and all these other things, and you're overly sensitive and you do all this stuff because you're masking the real fear. You're masking the coward that lives in us. And remember, there's a coward in all of us. But without cowardice, without fear, there is no possibility for courage. They have to coexist. But we've heard the statement, right? It's being able to take action in the face of fear that is courage. But it's the same thing. Like you can't just sit there and say it's the right mindset. And like you said, you haven't done any of the work to understand or weaponize the mind, as we call it. Right? And I'll throw a couple things here. Like I kind of made this point, but I just want to put this out there because I had this written down, and so I'll just read it the way that I wrote it down because I kind of like it this way. But I wrote it down in this just as a note here. But I say this to myself, and I didn't really recognize how much I say this to myself until I was kind of writing these notes, and then I reflected that this is a very subconscious statement that I seem to repeat to myself. But this is a source of my motivation. And I'll often say 27 years ago, a random group of individuals were willing to end a man's life for no fucking reason. And notice how I didn't make it personal. I didn't say, oh, these guys attacked me. I said 27 years ago, there was a random group of individuals who were willing to end a man's life for no reason. And how does this motivate me? How does this resonate with people? Like, I don't know how it impacts other people, but there's a couple things in there. The randomness of just people, fucking strangers. I meant nothing to them and they meant nothing to me. Just strangers. And yet they were willing to fucking end somebody's life, to try to murder somebody for no reason, nothing at all. And one of my goals since then is like, for 27 years, like I've been trying to teach people and get people to understand that you have to open yourself up to studying that criminality, that element, right? Because if you don't understand what their thought process, you don't understand how they're bringing their greatest weapon online. How could you defend against it? And you do it in a similar yet very different way. And that's where a lot of people get caught on this. You do not become the criminal by studying criminality. You do not become a violent human being by recognizing, learning, and studying the tool of violence. No more than a soldier on a battlefield who is well trained, like an elite tier 1 operator. He is a master of that tool, of his weapon, all of it. And when he puts when he puts a threat into his crosshairs and neutralizes that threat under the moral and legal and lawful authority of his government and his conscience, right? He is not a bad guy. You get what I mean? Like, but people don't understand. Somehow, a good guy shooting a bad guy is less violent than a bad guy shooting a child. You get what I mean? We see the violence differently. But when you see predators in the wild, when a shark bites a seal, it's graphic. And if the seal bit the fucking shark, had the potential to do it, it would be just as graphic. It's, killing in the wild for survival, for the perpetuation of the species, for what, the circle of life, it is what it is. Yet we are constantly in our mind waging this battle between the moral and righteous knight and the dark, insidious, evil, whatever. The barbarian horde versus the knights of the round table. That conjures an image for everybody. And the thought that these two would use the same skills, the same strategies, the same tactics, one to destroy out of hate and evil, and one to protect, to destroy because of love and protecting. You know what I mean? Because that's the difference. Violent criminals hate, that's what fuels them, right? Hate, anger, rage, all this stuff. And love is what drives the warrior, the protector. So for me, one thing that to wrap that perspective of how it changes you, one of the goals through everything I do, every piece of content we put out, every course we run, everybody we teach, all that stuff is to try to change someone's perspective so they don't have to experience what I experienced. That they can come to a realization, that they can have an awakening without having to have that experience, without having to pay that price. Because make no mistake, what comes before you can, see what you carry and acknowledge what you've seen and experienced all stuff, you are in the pain pit. It's all the toxic shit that comes first. And a lot of people never come to a rationalization and acceptance. They never get out of that. And I never would have got out of that on my own had I not found my mentors and my instructors, had I not been shown a way. Never, I can't even begin to imagine where my life would be. But if you have people that cannot see the danger, and if the difference between violence and sport remains unknown to you, then you should pass this by. You should leave this and just continue on with your life. But if you can see what we see, right? If you can see what we see, if you feel as we feel about your right to life and your safety, then I strongly recommend that people take an action. And that's what tonight has to be about. That's where this conversation has to switch right now. Because everything that I think we've done so far in this first 30 minutes has been leading to people to a point where you are standing on the edge of the plane. You're here because you're interested in skydiving. You've taken the course, you've got the safety check, you've put the pack on, you're in the plane's taken off, you're at altitude, you're standing at the fucking door. And this is the moment in time where you have to make a decision to jump. Or you sit the fuck back down. And it has to be this way. If you don't see what we see, if you don't see the threat, you don't see the volatility in this world, if you don't see that, if you can't understand that there is a difference between martial arts and sport and violence, if that remains unknown to you, then do nothing. Sit the fuck back down. Stop listening to this instantaneously and just go back and live your life and move forward. And for some people, that is their choice. That's their decision. More power to you. But there has to be a massive wake-up call and a call to action that if you see what the fuck we see in this world, if you see the threats that exist in this world, right? If you feel like we feel about that statement, I mean, a group of random individuals were willing to murder somebody for no reason. If you feel that, threats like we feel that, and if you seek to as we seek to change the fucking game, make a decision. Make a decision and take an action. And this is the big thing. I'll pause for 5 seconds if you guys want to throw something in on that, any feedback off that, and then we're going to move to the second part of this conversation.
Yeah, one thing that I want to touch on is your quote. You said about 27 years ago, a group of strangers, individuals, attempted to kill a man, for no good reason. And I want to talk about why I believe that I like it better since you didn't make it personal. And I think it has more power with it because it makes it real. I think it makes it more real than if you made it personal, because and I know that, like, for you, like that was your story, that is your situation. But for someone else to be like, well, if I try to make that personal, they're like, well, I lived my whole life and I've never had that. So it's like I could be 45 years old, and it's like, yeah, but that never happened to me. So what are the chances? But when you take out that personal element, to me, it makes it way more real, because it's like, it doesn't fucking have to happen to me. It happened to you. And it happened to many other people who walk this earth. And it's like, for me, that makes that way more powerful, because it's undeniable. And I can't go back and be like, well, it hasn't happened to me. I've been here for 45 years. So what are the fucking chances? You know what I mean? So I just liked how you framed that quote, very much so. And I just wanted to kind of put my perspective on it.
That's perfect. Yeah, I feel the same way. When I say that, the juice that I get, the motivation that I get to teach and coach and to continue to study violence and stuff is not tied to me. Yeah. It's bigger than me, because that, like, again, and the power of, like, yeah, that happened to me. But it's like, it's that thing again where it's like, but that doesn't happen to people like me. Just like everyone out there that might watch it go, well, that shit doesn't happen to me. I like what you guys are talking about, but that kind of thing doesn't happen to me. Neither does fucking cancer. Neither does a tragic car accident. Neither does a fucking plane crash. Neither does all of the bad shit. Yes, doesn't happen to us until it fucking happens to us. And that's why I said, like, there's people that they don't see what we see. They don't see it. They don't see the volatility in the world. They don't see the threats in the world. And that's fine. That's okay. Right? They don't, the difference of what we're talking about remains unknown to them. And I hope that they never have to see it. I hope they never have to experience it. We call that the gap. I hope they never experience the gap. It stays in the blind spot for the rest of their fucking lives. And that's okay. But then there are the people that see what we see. They feel as we feel, and they seek as we seek, to change that game, to not be that victim, right? And that's where, again, now we're at this point of action. So what do we do? What do good people do? What do you do? And the action you take is you fucking have to weaponize. And I'm going to say this unapologetically. You need to weaponize, not go take a martial art. Listen, at the end of the day, if you got someone that's taking kickboxing or jiu-jitsu or whatever, and I'm only going to say this once. If you're taking any type of martial art, any type of combative sport, good, better than nothing. Good, go. If that's, you love it, good, go. Stick with it. Do I think that's the best thing for you when it pertains to violence? No, not even close. I don't. Because I experienced violence. And if you experienced what I experienced, right, being beaten unrecognizable, having somebody smashing a bottle into your eye socket, having your head stomped into concrete by multiple opponents, multiple assailants doing that. If you'd experienced what I experienced, you cannot go in there and go, yeah, this is going to totally work. You can't unsee, unknow, and unexperience once you've experienced. Can't.
I think one thing, just to build right off what you just said, for people who haven't experienced it themselves, going back to your quote, and Brad spoke to the first part of it, but the second part of it where you talk about the attempted murder, I think that those words are so critical, because if you say even something like assaulted, I think people still be like, oh, that's bad. But I think there's also a risk that people can be like, oh, you were beat up.
Yeah.
And then people's reference point for being beaten up is, oh, you were in a fight. And right away, then there's all that like, well, what's a fight? And there's that whole, kind of thing that you have to unpack. But it's like, no, they attempted to murder you. It just right away puts such a seriousness on it. And I think that allows people to then start to pull from your experience, from other people's experiences. It's like, it's just a whole different level of violence that we're talking about, more than just a fight or an assault, right?
Yeah. I've been doing it for 27 years. I did martial arts and combative sports before my assault, all the stuff. I have friends that are professional fighters. I've asked them. You ask them, what would you do? Explain the situation, what would you do? And the most honest thing that ever comes from them is they say nothing. They say nothing. Why? Because they don't have an answer. And in that situation, when you talk about this person's trying to fucking murder you. They don't even try to guess. They don't try to speculate. They don't ever say, well, you could try this, or I've done this, or you could try using this, or this would be a good technique for this and stuff. They don't even try it. Right? They don't try. Why? Because they get it. They don't know. It's a totally different fucking thing. It's not, I was fighting this guy. We got in this fight, and the guy jumped on me, and I had him in the guard, and I went to try to do a triangle, but he slipped out of it and stuff like that. Show me, what were you doing? Man, scoot your hips a bit, grab your leg like this, scooch that up higher, bite the leg higher on his back, reach across here, grab his lapel, do all this type of stuff. Because it's a totally different thing. And that's an honest answer, and it's an answer that I respect more. Because when they ask, they don't ever ask me. They don't ever say, hey, listen, in my match last week when the guy shot in and he had me pressed up against the cage and he had a single leg and he was trying for the takedown, what would you do to counter that stuff? They don't ask me that shit. And I don't even try to answer it because I don't fucking know. Because I don't fucking do that. Like, he's not trying to murder you. I don't know. The honesty between the two is very, very important. Okay? And let's go this, I said, because I really want to hit this. What do? I ask people to take an action. 90 days, 3 months. 90 days, 3 months is how you change the game. You take that action. We do a 90-day intensive, right? Where we show people, we teach them the weaponizing process. And I want to break this down because I want people to understand that there's something tangible. There's 3 different phases that you would go through in 90 days. And this is how you take fucking action. Stage number 1, phase 1, is you have to do what's called an onboarding process. Right? And the onboarding process is what? It's the fucking information that you don't even know you don't know. You don't even know you don't. My first exposure to weaponizing, my first exposure, right, to the guy was training the SEAL Team 6. My first exposure to my mentors, instructors, was sit your fucking ass down and pay attention. It wasn't techniques. It wasn't, it was sit down and listen to this. Because the first thing we're going to do is we got to onboard your fucking brain, and it goes to what we just said. What is the greatest weapon? It is your mind. And you got to understand that there's a different set of beliefs that you have to develop. And trust me, you don't have them. I didn't have them. Out of 27 years of teaching people, very few people come in with the beliefs already in place. There's 1 or 2 of them, but most people do not have the beliefs. Why? Because you were raised in the world of ordinary affairs. You were raised in a world where cheating and all this other stuff, you're not in the criminal element. Where do criminals get it? Because when they're young, typically it starts out, they're in broken homes. They're in homes where they're abused and drug addiction. They're on the streets on their own from, 8, 9 years old. They're in and out of foster cares. And now not everybody that has those experiences turns out bad. But a lot of people, what I'm getting at is they are thrust into a corrosive, toxic, and septic environment. They're in and out of the system. As they get into the system, they go to jail, they go to juvenile, they learn, they grow, and they educate. They're pulled in by other nefarious people who educate and train. And, we all understand how the process can go for certain people. Yet we're completely opposite. We're not raised in those environments. Thank God. We're blessed. But the first stage of this is the mental process. Understanding learning what you don't even know. And I want you guys just real quick to just quickly kind of throw in a couple cents on things like understanding like beliefs in terms of like recognizing what you're willing to fight for. What do you love? Like identifying those beliefs, understanding the importance of somebody actually teaching you what the laws are for self-defense. Like just any aspect of how we condition the mindset in that onboarding process, learning the pins and threat recognition and how important all of that is before you ever get into anything. Just share a little bit about how important the skills and the mindset out of that first stage, how important they are. This is what you'd learn in the first 90 days, part of it, right? You know, we're going to cover all of this in 90, but the first phase is the onboarding process.
One of the things I'll chime in with right away is even a lot on the belief aspect, you know, questioning your beliefs, what you stand for as a man, as a woman, as an individual, defending yourself against violence, you know, and I would rather figure out and answer those questions on what I will do, what level of violence I will use to defend my family against murder. I'd rather figure that out before I get confronted with that level of violence and have the question asked then under pressure.
Yes.
I'm like, you have no time, you know, so it is probably the most invaluable aspect of being able to go through that on the front end. So when you are faced with violence, and if you are faced with violence, you can take whatever action deemed necessary without any doubt, without any questioning yourself, without any, and again, too, with the law, with the legal ramifications. It's like you want to know where you stand because, well, if I do that, I don't want to go to jail or whatever the situation is. It's like there's so much information that you need to unpack and digest on the front end that you have zero fucking time to answer in the dark moment.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I have another analogy.
Perfect. Lay it on us.
I love analogies. I must have been trained by you because you like analogies too.
I do.
I think like having all the mindset stuff up front, you know, the 16 onboarding lessons before you ever do anything even remotely physical in the 90 day, it's like that's the key to the lock. And inside that room it's the strategy, the tactics, the tools, it's all that stuff, but it's like all of that is useless if you can't get through that door. And what I mean by that is like when we look back at all the people we've trained over the years, because we're working with good people, where we're not out there, you know, looking to train criminals, you know, we're training good moral people who were raised like us, you know, with just good morals, law-abiding citizens. We're good people. And it's like, so what's one of the biggest barriers we all faced and we run into with everyone we're training is like that ability to pull the trigger. You know, people, they understand their why. They understand I'm doing this for the people behind me. You know, whether it's your spouse, your kids, family, friends, innocent strangers, whatever it is, they understand their why, but it's like there's still going to be that resistance because of, like Brad touched on, you touched on the law and then just the morals behind it, you know, all that stuff. Like, you know, and I think having all those lessons up front, it kind of equips you to be able to make that decision that like, yeah, I am going to pull the trigger because I saw this, I saw this, I saw this, I saw this, which means that, and that. And it just, you have all that software, right? Like Grossman's quote of amateurs talk hardware, professionals talk software. All those onboarding lessons, it's all that software that you have to have so that the hardware, you can actually pull the trigger on the hardware, right? You can unlock that door.
Yeah, 100%, which again ties into that's first, and it ties into what is a warrior's greatest weapon? His mind. And that's the thing that we hit first and foremost, right off the bat. Very well said, guys. Now, once we get them through, and Dustin mentioned that there's 16 different onboarding lessons. Once people get through the 16 lessons, they move to the second stage, which is what we call the strategy development stage, which is where we teach people the bad guy blueprint. And again, why this is so critically important and why I'm trying to share this with you so you understand what your action plan is. Make it the fucking decision. Jump out of the plane, start with the onboarding, start weaponizing your mind. Get the beliefs that you need, get the perspectives that you need to be able to pull the trigger, as Dustin and Brad have said. The second that we have that key that unlocks that next door is now the strategy development, where you start looking at and understanding how do these guys do it? How do bad guys do it? And you got to start somewhere. And there's 4 plays. There's 4 different blueprints that bad people use. And we teach you the most fundamental, the core, the number one blueprint that bad guys use. And I want to share it with you, right? And that is an organized blitz attack, right? We call this like a posturing predator or a posturing pack if it's mass attack. But these guys are organized and they posture and they're looking to create this blitz attack. Now, that doesn't mean a whole lot to most people, but I want you to understand that the second component is learning what these guys do, the study of criminality. You cannot defend against violence by studying combative sports or by studying martial arts. You have to study criminality and the importance of recognizing and understanding why they're doing what they're doing and how they're doing it. We've said this so many times, I honestly don't have a better way to say it other than you have zero chance at defending what you don't understand. Half of it is when you understand that, we go right back. The criminals' greatest weapon, their greatest tool is the mind and its capacity to think evil. You know why? Because most people don't think that way. And if you don't think that way, if a bad guy has a thought that you've never had and they execute on that thought that you've never had, it means that they're attacking you in a way that you've never thought possible, that you didn't expect, that you couldn't anticipate. And if you can't expect it, if you can't anticipate, if you've never had that thought, what are the chances of defending against it? Because we're not good at what we've never done. Human beings have never been good at what they have never done. They're very good at the second they've done something and failed for the first time, of course, correcting. That is our strength. The first time man ever tried to hunt, they were not good. You know what I mean? The first time man tried to scavenge, they probably grabbed the wrong shit. Ended up with a rash or the runs for a while. They probably weren't good, but they figured shit out. Right? And this is the second phase that you get in these 90 days. I want people to have this action plan, tangible action plan. Get the key. Weaponize the mind. Live to the statement. The greatest weapon is our mind. Live up to that. Take the actions. Then unlock and move through the next door and understand what they're doing. Understand and learn their blueprints. It's literally like we're showing you what their secret playbook is. Any professional team in the world would kill to look at the opposition's playbook. That's why it's so secretive in football and everything else. It's like it's coveted. And that's the second phase. So anything you want to add in, any more great analogies for the playbook? Brad, maybe go first, and Dustin will think of a good analogy.
See if I can come up with something.
Yeah. Pressure's on.
I'll just say something real quick. I don't think I have anything revolutionary to add, but it's just, again, like, it's the integration of not just one thing, but like the foundation that the first phase lays. It builds together, because you can't have one without the other. Yeah. If you do, you're not weaponizing, so it's just that, everything it just builds, and it allows you, when you weaponize your mind, it allows those strategies to have so much more conviction behind it, right? And just that building on that process and really kind of having that structure behind it.
100%. Dustin, analogy?
If there was a better analogy for the playbook, that's what it would be called. It's called the playbook for a reason. Everybody understands that analogy. So no, there is no other analogy.
It's adamant. That's the analogy, right? The bad guy's blueprint. That's their thing. Okay. Then the third and final stage that you get out of the 90 days, right? Get the mindset. Make that your greatest fucking weapon, for real, by taking action, by learning what you don't know, by getting the right beliefs and all that, the right perceptions. Then you learn what they're doing. You get their plays. You get the blueprints. Okay, and then the third stage is what we call the flight time phase. That is where we teach you our playbook, the strategies, the tactics, and the tools that are the countermeasures to their playbook. Only once you understand what they're doing can you then understand and be given the strategies that counteract. Once you've seen their playbook, you can create a playbook of your own that counters these things, that isn't based off fighting this guy or having to be bigger and stronger or faster than this guy. It employs what we come back to at the very beginning. The strategies, tactics, and tools of the weaponizing system are predicated off the truth that a warrior's, a protector's greatest weapon is their mind. And it's, I don't know what else to say other than you have to understand the strategies, tactics, and tools are about having a doom on you mindset. Everything we do is about counter warfare, unconventional warfare, asymmetrical warfare, asymmetrical strategies, meaning not conventional, not head to head, none of that shit. Because our greatest weapon is our mind, and we got to think. We got to be resourceful. The criminals are going to do it. We have to do it better. We have to understand what they want, and the second we do that, their shit's not hidden anymore. We take away the power of the weapon, but they have not seen our counter strategies. They do not expect counter strategies from Joe Dadbod, right? They don't expect it from the accountant who's, got his wife and 3 kids with him. They don't expect that. Because they're like, who the fuck told this guy? How did this guy figure this shit out? Because we've had experiences. There's people in this world who have been in combat. There's people in this world who have fought in real wars. There's people who have faced violence and lived to learn the lessons. And they don't want to unsee what they've seen or unknow what they know or unexperienced unexperienced. Instead, they rationalized, accepted their way through the pain pit, and now they're sharing. And now they're enlightening, and now they're coaching, and now they're exposing and sharing with people the lessons. But none of it works unless people make the decision to take an action. And in 90 days, that's it. 90 days, 3 months. In 3 months, you can change the fucking game. You become infinitely safer. You move the needle and become infinitely safer. Not just for you, but for you and your entire family. Anything off the third phase, the final, for our protector, our playbook, the strategies?
I think you pretty much nailed it.
Okay. Okay. Then we're going to wrap it up here, and I'm going to end it with this quote. It's not really a quote. It's if I remember correctly, it's based off something that I'd read. Colonel Jeff Cooper, who's a very famous firearms instructor in the military, very famous tactical instructor, but he had said something along these lines, and it's not the direct quote. I'm paraphrasing it, but I'm pretty sure, if I recollect properly, that this is where I'd heard it originally. But it went something like this, and I'll just make it my own for a second here. But violent criminals, they do not fear the fucking police. They do not fear the judge. They do not fear a jury. Therefore, they must be taught to fear their victims. And I think that quote points right back to a warrior's greatest weapon is his mind. They have to be taught to fear the victim. They have to think fucking twice before they look at this average guy with his average family, driving his average car, out on his average night, or they break into that average looking home. They have to be thinking, and they have to learn to fear what might be on the other side of that fucking door. They have to have a fear in them of the person, of their victim, that causes some sort of doubt and hesitation into them. But that'll never happen unless we actually start to live the fucking quote, which is truly make our minds our greatest fucking weapon and start having a doom on you mindset. You're out there thinking evil, living evil, acting evil. But we're good people, yes. We have families, we work, we pay our fucking taxes, we're not cheating on our spouses, we're not doing all this shit. But make no mistake, We are developing a doom on you mindset. We are weaponizing. We understand. We see you for what you are. The difference between violence and sport is not unknown to me. It is known. I have seen it. And if you see what I see, if you feel as I feel, and you seek as we seek to change the fucking game, to truly be able to weaponize, to rise regardless and protect what we fucking love, then you need to take action. Talk won't do it. It's time to take action. And that's why I would invite you to look into our 90-day intensive. Right now, if you go to our website, if you go to awakentheprotectr.ca, if you go to our website and you scroll down, you will come to the 90-day intensive, where you will learn to protect yourself, family, property from violent criminal assault. Inside of that, it is an offer that we've never made before. You can literally do the 90 days for, it's like there's the 90 days, plus I throw in 90 days of tier 1 coaching, meaning you get direct access to me and our entire team, Dustin and Brad, all of us, direct access, unlimited, 24 hours a day via text and Skype and email and whatever the fuck methodology you need to communicate. You get all of our weaponizing software. You get the tier 1 coaching. You get all of that. Plus, I threw in this a 12, or we call it a good to go protected 12 pack, where I'm solving these immediate problems. Of like, I don't understand the legalities of how I can defend myself in Canada. Do I even have the right to do that? We got a whole entire kit that solves all of those problems. What can I do right now? I'm not comfortable carrying a night shift. We solve that problem by understanding and sharing and giving you tactical pens and training with all this stuff and the proper mindset and routines. All of this is in there. This entire package is normally, I think it's over $6,000 in value. And right now, if you accept the offer, you can get all of that for $997. One-time payment. $1,000, $997, and you get 90 days. Unlimited access, all inclusive. For 90 days. That's it. Everything's into this, plus all of the free bonus stuff. You can go to our website, you can check it out. There's guarantees, we'll reverse the risk. All you need to do, step 1, is phone and book a consultation. It's free. There's no pressure, there's no risk, it's free. Then you can actually start the entire program and try it for 30 fucking days, and if for any reason it's not what you wanted, you get 100% refund for 30 days. You have no risk to this. Why? Because we need more people to start weaponizing. This is what I was, been asking for the last few years as an organization. How can we do more? What can we do to take this to the next level and reach more people and help more people? The world is more volatile than it's ever been, and there's never been a bigger need for this than there is right now. So I would highly encourage people to not sit the fuck back down and land with the plane. Make a decision, take an action. There's no fucking risk. There's no better time. Anything you guys want to add to that?
Yeah, the only thing that makes me wish I didn't start this 20-some years ago is how good that deal is right now. Yeah. I've seen it. It's really good. Yeah, it's a really fucking good deal. Yeah. Like if you're on the fence, it's a fucking good deal.
Well, you got a good deal out there when guys have been training for 20 years for, and you go, hey, motherfucker, I don't have half that shit that you're giving away to all these fucking people. Like, can I pay the $997 and get all the fucking shit? And it's like, well, no, fuck you. You're not new. This is for new people. But the offer is a no fucking brainer. Like, it's just a no brainer. So, Brad, any final thoughts on any of it?
No, it's, when the subject matter is as serious as it is, and it's like, I like what you said. It's like either jump out of the fucking plane or sit down.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like this offer is the biggest possible parachute safety net that you could possibly have, where it's just such a low barrier to entry, and you don't have any of that extra time of trying to go somewhere and to learn. And it's like, what? I don't know.
Yeah, just to mention, because I don't think I did, you can do this from your home. Like, all of the weaponizing software, all of the lessons are all online. You can access them 24 hours a day. We support that with live coaching. So if you're going through one of the lessons online at home and you have a question, you can have direct contact to any of us. If you need it, we jump on live Zoom and I can watch what you're doing while you're working out of the comfort of your home, and any one of us can coach you and help correct you from there. You can do this with your entire family as that. You can all train together. You can get buddies over and you guys can do it together. But you don't need anybody. I set it up so that literally you can follow along with me real time. So you can do this from anywhere in the world. Nobody's geographically bound anymore. We have the technology. I mean, COVID taught us all, if it taught us anything, it taught us that we can fucking connect anywhere in the world and be productive. We went online and took our whole organization online and trained for almost a year, multiple times, probably over a year. And everybody didn't just, everyone got better. I train with guys from all over and they're online and we progress and teach them. You do the entire 90 days from the comfort of your own home.
Yeah.
And yet have complete access to live coaching and support. That's the key. Because not only do you get the information and all of our software, which is all online, but you get live coaching remotely, like from anywhere in the world. You get direct access to us, and that's the difference. That's the game changer. Today where the technology is versus 30 years ago when I started doing this. That was not even a thought in anyone's mind that was possible. So, all right. Anyways, check it out. You can look at the end of this. There's going to be our website will come up on there. Yes, learn at your own pace it well. You can go through this. You have the 90 days, $1,000, the $997 gets you 90 days, but you move at your own pace. You get questions and you have access to it unlimited 20 days. So you get to work at your own pace. You get to do it from the comfort and safety of your own home. You don't have to worry about heading out and starting class and uncovering this. Am I going to get beat up and hurt? And what is this shit? And all that type of stuff. It is one of the greatest ways to do this, is just with this new 90-day virtual intensive. So please head to awakentheprotector.ca. Again, the website will pop up. Scroll down. There's a lot of Freeline programs on there as well, but you can scroll down and you will see the 90-day intensive, the 90-day virtual intensive. Click on that, head in there. All you got to do is book a consultation. We'll have a conversation, make sure it's the right fit, and we'll go from there. So that's it. All right, guys. Thank you so much for your time. This was a great one tonight. I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, commenting, jumping in on our conversation and contributing. We always appreciate you guys. As always, like, share, follow along with us, both our podcast as well as our YouTube channel, Awaken the Protector Within. All of this is up there if you prefer to watch or listen. Whatever makes you the happiest, please follow along. And that's it. So stay safe, stay weaponized, everybody. We will chat again soon. Good night, everybody. Hey, thanks so much for listening. And listen, if you found this content valuable, here's 3 different ways that I can help you weaponize for free. First, grab a free copy of my ebook, The Education of a Weaponized Man. To get your free copy today, head to ebook.awakentheprotector.ca. Number 2, you can take a free workshop where you will discover the 10 insights violent criminals don't want you to know. To take this workshop, head to workshop.awakentheprotector.ca. The third way is to head to my website and check out all of my Freeline programs that cover everything from mindset to strategies. To check us out, go to awakentheprotector.ca. And finally, leave a 5-star review so that we can reach more good people like you who are ready to weaponize and rise regardless.